Woke Wednesdays. Welcome to Woke Wednesdays. My name is Hershey Sanchez. I am a second-year doctoral student here at Florida International University. And I am the host of Woke Wednesdays. And tonight we have a phenomenal group of young women. Beautiful, insightful, brilliant. We've been talking for the past hour about what does it mean to be a black woman. So I would love if y'all could please reintroduce yourselves. And then we're going to jump right into it.
Yes. All right. I see you, girl. Good evening, everyone. My name is Katrina Mia, and I am a second-year doctoral student here at FIU in the higher education program.
I thought I'm here. Okay.
I like
that.
Okay. My name is Alexis Brown. I'm the owner of Social Exchange, and that's it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
My name is Jasula Charles. I am an educator and a coach. Also navigating the nonprofit world, trying to save people, as much as possible. Yes.
That's it.
My name is Danny Moy. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist as well as a doctoral student at Nova Southeastern.
Please, so y'all aren't hyping yourselves enough for me. Like y'all do a lot of other things. What is Social Exchange? Like, you do awesome things. You do awesome. Can we keep this going?
All right.
Can we keep the introductions going?
Whatever. Go ahead, Sean.
Go ahead.
Sean, save the world.
Person knows I don't like doing that. That's why he's doing it.
Nah, you be hyping me up. So you be hyping me and Lise. We got to hype you up.
Definitely.
Okay. So let's see. I have a racial.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
Hey, we're back.
Hey.
Sorry.
Okay. So I have a racial trauma group every Tuesday at 6:30 in Tamarack, Florida, which focuses around racial trauma and just everything that's happening in the world today and how it impacts us on a individual level. And yeah.
There you go. I love this. Go ahead. Hype yourselves up a little more. What is Social Exchange?
Okay.
Yeah.
What is this?
So Social Exchange is now transforming into event agency, which is my goal. But our idea through our events is to create a community through travel, community service, social events, and bringing professionals of color together to let their hair down and have a mental health evening of fun and greatness.
Yeah. Beautiful. Anybody else want to go? I'm just hyping everybody up. No? Yeah, nobody else wants to go. Okay, I'm hyped up throughout the episode.
All right, cool.
So thank you so much for doing this. Tonight's episode, like I said, is what does it mean to be a black woman? So we kind of talked about what does it mean, like some of the struggles, resilience, and strength that comes as a result of being a black woman. But all of y'all live in Miami, or in South Florida, at least. There's a huge influx of Latinx immigrants just in the South Florida area. And sometimes folks, what I've come to realize that, well, since you're a racial minority and I'm one, then we can't be racist towards each other, right? Learn Spanish, right? So I'm wondering, have you ever had a difficulty maybe in the workplace, school, in your personal lives, where it's been like, hey, like I thought we were supposed to like rock together on this, but y'all, we clearly not. So it's just a question, throwing it out there.
Who's logged in on this?
I don't know. I was just talking about when we was in the bathroom.
You just gotta tell everybody people business.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
Go ahead.
During our break.
Go ahead. You want to tell them anything else?
You're awesome.
Okay.
Your name is person, and you host Woke
Okay,
Wednesdays every
okay.
Wednesday. All right. So attending at HBCU really allowed me to see people for their inside and not their outside. Just because we all look the same on the outside, we're not all the same on the inside. If it's culture, religion, our thought process, how we move, like just because we look the same on the outside doesn't mean like you're in my corner and that you're for me and I'm for you. That we want to assume that, but I don't think that's it's not the reality of it. There's something wrong with it, and in theory, I guess, but it's just what it is, you know. So I think growing up, sometimes I do feel like, you know, you have that you talk like you're white type of thing, you know, and balancing that, hey, trying to like be black with like at the end of the day, my parents still like expect me to behave and act a certain way. It's a really interesting challenge. It's not. I think a lot of educated people go through that. Or even if you kind of grew up in the hood and you don't speak as well as other people, people have to look at you like you're dumb and you're not. But there was a lady I heard speak, and she didn't speak that well, but she was super smart. But I could see, and I know people were kind of like, she's not, you know, her sentences aren't complete, and it's like, yeah, she's like a fucking newscaster, she's a meteorologist, and I thought it was super dope. But
I think the first time I ever realized that I guess Miami was segregated was from a New Yorker. I was at the DMV, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm not diverse, huh?"
DC, Miami, Virginia.
DC, Miami, Virginia. Damn, man, when you thrown out is Miami.
Yeah, she was like, "Yo, bro, you're not even. You guys are segregated." And I was like, "Oh snap, she's right." I think because I work with a lot of Afro-Latino students, and I take when I teach about Africa, I'm very particular how I teach about Africa. I always start with
teach?
I teach world history and policy debate.
Okay.
So I'm very particular. So I think when it comes to that, the goal is to, I guess, have those conversations with our students about how we interact, and my students say, "Oh yeah, that is true." So our youth do know that there is segregation that goes on, and there's tension through minorities within our groups, and they know that. And it's interesting enough that they don't know how to deal with it, so they're kind of looking for a way to how to deal with this segregation. But he's my brother, he's cool. But then I know long time running, there's going to be some type of achievement gap. There's discrimination. There's going to be a lag and a gap between us later on. So our students know that, but I think in regards to navigating it, it's hard. And technically, you do have minorities, but then you have a minority hierarchy, if you would, I guess, could say that in Miami, with predominantly white Latino stronghold in Miami, and the discrimination when it comes to that as well. So I think it's interesting how we navigate. Are we going to have conversations? Are we going to identify ethnicity? And then what are we going to truly do to realize that, listen, we're all in this together.
But are we?
Interesting.
The type of, Trina and I talk about this all the time, like the type of political power that white Cubans have amassed in Miami is like incomprehensible.
Yes, it is.
But I would say white is very relative. A lot of traditional white Americans have moved out of Miami, and a lot of what we see as white is really white Latin people from Cuba, Venezuela, Puerto Rican. They're not
sometimes pass.
Yeah, they're
they're
not
not
like I can use the word white, but they're not a traditional white American. But there was a large migration of them moving into Fort Lauderdale and West Palm because those people did not want to deal with this new level of whiteness. Because I will say Latin people are very pulled together. They pull together their resources. They do their thing. So yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about Wakanda. So Black Panther has been, it's setting. We get. So I'm not welcome. So we get. No, it's okay. It's okay. I don't want to go there anyway. I just want to learn about Brainium. I just want to learn.
Just a little bit.
I cannot.
And I'd like to hang out with Lupita.
Hey.
I got to connect.
And Lupita's actually Mexican. A lot of people don't know.
Yeah, she is Mexican. She is Mexican.
Kenyan Mexican.
Yeah,
she speaks fluent Spanish.
Yeah, I heard that. That's amazing.
From Kenya. Yeah, very cool. But so a lot of people were asked, like, what did this film mean to you? Particularly when we're talking about Black women. I had a homegirl who I was talking to recently. She's a dark-skinned woman. She was like, I finally got to see that dark-skinned black is beautiful. And I was just like, whoa, like.
And there was an actress that stepped back.
That's what we were saying.
Amanda Paris. She's a
biracial woman.
Yes.
I hate that.
But I thought that they only wanted like darker-skinned people in the first place. That's what I thought. That's what they're casting for. So when I saw that, I was like, I thought they just wanted darker skinned people.
So then you go smoking the colorism, like now you're not.
And we're gonna get into this. But I do want to ask, what did y'all think of the film? This is the first time we're talking about the film post the film came out, like after on the show. So I just really would love to hear what y'all have to say.
Katrina, go ahead. I see you.
Go ahead.
No, I love the movie and what it meant for Black women. Like they were the only people in the movie that didn't need superpowers to be super women.
You better say that.
Say that again.
You better rewind that.
They were the only people in the movie that didn't need superpowers to be super women. They didn't need the fucking planks to be super. Like they were kicking butt from jump, even outside of Wakanda. When Lupita, that first scene, I think she was working
with the girls who were missing.
In Nigeria.
That was a hint at the girls that went missing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And I was just so like kind of taken by surprise. I didn't do much research on the movie before I went. So I think the first battle scene when like the men came in with their weapons, and then the women came in. I was waiting for the other men to jump in. I was like, oh no, these women are down for the get down. And so just that image alone, the power and strength of Black women, I just think it was beautiful. Even though Bay had a problem with women.
Wait. Who is Bay? Hold on. What?
Oh, Killmonger.
Child. So we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna get into this.
We'll talk about Bay in a second. We're gonna talk about Let me hear that.
We're gonna talk because he was the only person to also kill Black women.
Oh,
in the movie. But we'll get into this.
She said she ain't gonna die.
But we'll get into
she's not gonna die.
No. He burned it up.
I gotta hear that.
Alright, so next.
What stood out for me was really just seeing this image of the Black woman protecting the Black man. And I thought that was very important because I don't think they know how much we appreciate them and are willing to affirm them, right? But also at the same time, I also appreciated this whole idea about, so the one who was, where was he from? Oakland, California. And he went to search for his family. I thought that even though he was the bad guy, as they would say, I also think that his story mattered too, because it was like, wait a minute, like, he belongs here. You know, and it made me think about how many times just being both African American and Caribbean, having to deal with what that means. And your Caribbean side of the family, you know, making assumptions based on the African American side of the family. You know, so it's just, it's not the acceptance and or the lack thereof.
When I think of Wakanda, oh my God, it was just so beautiful. I feel like a kid, like, and because I think it was so beautiful to see just all Black, all everything. Like, everything was there. And I think for me, what stood out the most was that everyone had a passion for their people. For no matter if you're on Killmonger's side, T'Challa's side, they had a passion for their people. It wasn't a selfish vengeance. Of course, he was trying to, avenge his daddy. What did that? Right? But other than that, there was this love that I'm doing this for us. We are going to succeed. I want our pain to stop, and I want us to achieve something together. I mean, something else that stood out for me was the fact that the Black man and the Black woman could be side by side working together, and no matter if they disagreed, they supported each other. There was no competition. Who is head? Who is tail? Who's this? No, we all doing this together. This is all for the greater good, and it was beautiful to kind of see that true Black love. And also, I think there was nothing about you didn't have the Black women didn't have to show everything off to be sexy, right? There was beauty without that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, there was this confidence that was there, and it was great to see a Black man and a Black woman have intimacy or romantic love for each other without like being in a bed or being dissed or having or calling each other out. So it's nice to see that.
Real quick, so I personally, I don't like the term Black love. I think it can be problematic, like the term Black excellence. But that's a whole other episode.
Of course, I see that.
But this movie took Black love to another level because it wasn't on a relationship thing, like in an intimate, romantic. It was a love for anyone
and everyone
from Wakanda.
Yes,
from Wakanda. So that even then, Black love had a limit.
Of course,
right? So please, what do you think?
I to everyone's point, I think seeing Black on the screen and all Black on the screen was great. But I think what resonated with me that it was Black to me in a positive light, even in the tale of talking about things that are very temperamental in our community in regards to Black cultures, or you're not a part of us, and you know because you mix with something else, whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, I still think it was very positive, and we didn't throw ourselves under the bus in the process. And like, there's other shows that are like I would say, The Quad. So it's a show about HBCUs, but I feel like that we're throwing ourselves under the bus with all this negative talk around it. And I really thought it was going to be like the next different world. So I think that for Black Panther,
What's it called?
The Quad on BET.
Is it negative or is it? I haven't seen. I've never heard of this.
Or they just posting or having a conversation.
I've never heard of this.
But I think the different world shows different things about.
For that time period, though,
yeah,
they covered issues at that time period. We're in a completely different space where a lot of things they're talking about are occurring or are being pushed under the rug.
Yeah.
And you have to expose for what it is.
But also at the same time, what positive things are we talking about? Like, there's negative things about every institution, white, black, in between. Like,
so for you,
there's
wasn't a positive thing.
Yeah, to me. Okay. So I think, at least where I think for Black Panther, it was just seeing us in a positive light. I really don't like reality TV because I just think it shows us in the most derogatory, negative.
Wasn't there a sorority reality TV?
Oh, we're not.
Just sit back. Just sit back.
Very short. We shut that down. The whole
down. But even I didn't think there was anything wrong with the show. If they were showing them doing service, showing them being in the community, they were showing them doing things that we should not be publicly showing.
Well, one thing that I was disappointed with, I think, of us and the Divine Nine is the way that we were able to come together to shut down that show.
Yeah.
But we did not come together to shut down the shows that led to that show.
Exactly. I completely agree.
Yeah. The reality.
Real quick, Divine Nine. Anyone want to explain what Divine Nine is, please? I don't know if everyone knows what Divine Nine is.
The National Panhellenic Council was formed of 9 different organizations.
Go ahead, girl.
It was the formation of 9 different organizations over time since 1930, and the purpose is to. No, but the point is that we're working together to bring our different causes, but then of course our similar purpose of helping the community in our different ways.
So I love Black Panther too. I haven't heard one real negative feedback about it. So let me ask a controversial question. Well, actually, before I do that, every woman in this film was a dark-skinned woman. Colorism is a very real thing. It's interesting. When I put the panel together tonight, I didn't even think about.
Yeah, I was like,
I didn't think about colorism. I didn't think about Greek stuff. I was just thinking of women why. Not to say that I don't think of other women as strong, but to me, women who are very strong, very smart, brilliant, and very just approachable. Not to say that I don't think of other women in that capacity. And then when it hit me tonight when I finally saw everybody, I was like, oh shit, so I wonder, had light-skinned women been casted for this film, would y'all would have been like? So Dear White People was a show on Netflix.
Yes,
and in a movie, horrible. I didn't like the movie. I like the show.
Yeah.
But I was talking to one of my homegirls, and I was like, "Yo, I really love Dear White People." She was like, "Nah," because the main character, she's a light-skinned girl. She has green eyes, and I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't even think about that." And my homegirl's a dark-skinned woman. So I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't think anything of it at first." So what do y'all think about this? Do you think having dark-skinned women casted was also a form of empowerment?
I think it was a form of empowerment just because of the absence of dark-skinned women in Hollywood and predominant roles besides somebody
being a maid,
right, or something of that nature. So
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Domestic work. Not there's anything wrong.
No.
Yeah. But I think it was important and overdue to have that kind of representation. Would I have been opposed to there being lighter-skinned women casted in the movie? No, because there's different hues of black women. We're not all this lovely chocolate color we got. But and I think I appreciated it a lot.
Yeah. That's what makes Issa Rae so powerful is that she.
Issa Rae?
Yeah, I mean, with the
show
Black
Insecure,
girl,
we're gonna have also a show about Insecure.
Dope.
Yeah.
I love Awkward Black Girl YouTube series. I think it just showed us in a very realistic light. Like this is an everyday person that does everyday things that everyday black women do, and so that's to me what made it so relatable. I think what made people really attract to her, and I think also with Black Panther, which is very relatable, and to be able to see us on the screen of that story, it was almost mind blowing because sad to say I've never really seen a movie like that other than slave based movies where it's a major
or about the struggle or
yeah, I can't really say. I mean, I'm pretty sure there've been other positive black movies, but this is the one that I would say that's okay, it almost wiped out anything else that happened before, just because it was just really dope. So, and it was a really good storyline. Sometimes black movies don't have a really good storyline. It had really good casting, had really good acting. Everything about the movie was just amazing. Like,
his sister could have been the king of Wakanda. I don't know if it would have been the queen, but
he would be a queen.
Because I saw something earlier. I read an article about how empowerment of you can be a king, like to break gender norms. It was interesting. Oh, not the side.
No, I think
I just think it's your queen. Like I don't.
It was an article I read. That might be one of the Wednesdays about breaking gender.
Queen Elizabeth is a queen, and she's been running the show. But Queen Elizabeth is powerful as hell. I mean, she's.
True.
I don't see queen as more demeaning or lower than a king. I just feel like it's just a feminine term of like being a leader of power.
So that's a whole other conversation. But anyone else want to talk about it?
I guess for me, it's important that I think darker shades of women of color needed to be represented. I think it's extremely important that we have that representation because we still, I was talking to someone who is in the therapy field and she was telling me she's dealing with girls still at this age now who she works with this little girl who hates her skin and still she's just like, I don't find it beautiful and it breaks her heart. She hates her hair and this is 2018. So I think it's important for us to have that conversation, but I think it's important too. I disagree with Amanda Steinberg. I feel like she didn't need to say that she stepped back because I feel like why did you? I feel like why was that necessary? Because the thing is, let them celebrate their shine. Why did you have to be part of that narrative? You knew in your heart that you know what I'm saying, did what you had to do, if that's what really went down. But my thing is that you didn't need to steal that shine because I think it threw back the colorism issue again in Hollywood. Exactly. Even though it's there, not sweep it under the rug, but let us celebrate this color, this moment, without again having to say that, I let it happen because you know what I'm saying? Right. I mean, I see both sides to it, but I feel like it wasn't necessary because again, we're all beautiful. It wasn't a second thought. It was strategic. It made sure that we celebrate us in all forms.
But I think just people of color, light or dark skin, we have to learn how to teach our children light or dark that we're beautiful. Because I have fair-skinned friends, and to me, in my eyes, their struggle wasn't as crazy as mine, but they didn't feel black enough, you know? So sometimes we always harp on dark-skinned women don't feel beautiful, dark-skinned women feel ugly. There's a lot of fair-skinned women that go through those same struggles, but it's like and it's sad, or they get bullied because they're not black enough. And then, of course, they can't really go on the white side because they're not white enough. So it's a really... I was on a panel at FIU when I first got back, and that was my first time really hearing a fair-skinned woman talk about her struggles as a fair-skinned woman, because I just didn't think of it. I'm kind of like, you good. Like, I didn't think that you had the same beauty struggles that I had as a woman of color, but I just think women in general just go through, am I pretty enough? So I think in regards to blackness, being able to embrace that in different hues, different shades, different cultures, different religions, and just be able to love and celebrate everyone under the diaspora, because I think we tend to separate ourselves more than we need to based upon differences and not our similarities.
So I have two questions. Do you want them? Sure. Let me read this comment real quick. Dr. TJ3
hey, TJ.
fell off, man. From a medical perspective, I was super thrilled of the dark-skinned women, black women casted. It was empowering, especially due to the bleaching epidemic in the black diaspora.
Yes, it is.
A lot of carcinogenic. That's a long word. Chemicals are being used in foreign countries.
Very true.
So yeah.
I think that's very true. I didn't realize, like, a lot of my friends grew up with, I guess, colorism issue. It was a little bit, I guess, it was like, you didn't realize it until I got up. I was like, oh, snap. So, I mean, I'm like I said, I'm Haitian Cuban, and Haiti, again, they have always these bleaching soaps and these keratin soaps and stuff like that. Of course, our neighbors are Dominican Republic, who have, some of them have identity crisis. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, right? But then I didn't realize just how ingrained in our culture it is to use it, to use these soaps. And Africa's, certain parts of Africa and these different countries, they're banning. I heard about Jamaica too. They're banning some of these chemicals, but it's been deep-rooted from colonialism. And I think it's really, really bad.
That white or light is beautiful.
Specifically in the Caribbean, I know that sometimes a certain skin color is placed under class or something.
Or desirable.
Right.
Or they'll say that you're pretty for a dark-skinned woman, which is always like the traditional, like, I think it's like a backhanded compliment, like, kind of just be beautiful.
Right.
So let me ask something that might be controversial. So I hear all the time fair-skinned. I hear this terminology all the time, right? And I want to critique it a little bit. So we will call someone they are a fair skin. So what are we saying? We're saying that their skin is acceptable, it's fair. And then I think when we say this,
I like to use the word light skin. I just don't like to use the word light skin because that's so. I don't know.
And it might be. We're also creatures. We're creatures of language, right? So we need language to communicate.
Yeah.
But when we say fair skin, are we also perpetuating the very idea that this skin color is what is deemed as fair?
No, that's just a color that they called it. Yeah, I didn't think it was like.
So for me, I think we should, and we're gonna get into a whole conversation about language. I think we should push back on that. For me, because I think that we end up reconstituting the very thing that we're critiquing.
So what would you call them then?
Yeah, name it.
So you said light skin is deemed as.
I don't want to say it's derogatory, but it's like. I don't know. Sometimes
they are. I mean,
that's what I thought. Yeah,
but
like high yellow, like the word like high yellow,
or red bone. But
exactly, red bone. Like I don't like using.
But there are women who don't like being called light skin because it goes back to trauma. They're saying we never really hear about.
So what I'm hearing right now is at the root of this is colonialism. Like you said, right? So that in itself needs to be tackled.
Yes.
Right.
At the end of the day, why do we have to talk about our color, skin color, like type of thing? So
why do we have to talk about race in the first place?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
But we have to.
Exactly.
We can't.
Exactly.
I mean, as much as we don't want to talk, like we've been reading all this stuff in class.
Yeah.
But I just wonder if saying fair skin perpetuates a problem that we don't.
It does. It does. Right.
So
it does.
I just want. It's just something kind of to think about. I don't know.
It's more of unfortunately, it's a descriptor word, and I don't think it's anything. At least for me, I'm not using it to be like of derogatory, but unfortunately, that's the only way that we decide that we're going to describe, each other regardless of our skin color.
But it's interesting how we deemed, you said light skin as derogatory, but then dark skinned, do we deem that as derogatory as light skin?
Well, it depends. People say it will depend on the context.
Yeah, exactly.
It really depends on the context and who's using it, their intention.
Yeah.
So I think, I think with any of these words, right? Who made up these words? It wasn't us.
Yeah.
I would
say red bone could be perceived a little bit more offensive than light skin.
Yeah, I've seen that. And Miss AK is saying it's depending on the context.
Yeah, exactly.
So black men.
I'm sorry, I could just hear A red in my head.
Yeah.
Oh, what's
A black.
Yeah, but sorry. Yeah. On our segue to black.
So in 2 weeks from today, the episode I'm actually teaming up with Aki.
Okay. Good. In good company.
How do you in good company? In good company, Aki. The episode is called Locker Room Talk.
Yeah.
Only men can attend, but women will be able. Anyone can tune in because it'll be live. It'll be a Woke Wednesdays episode. So
thank you.
But only men.
Can we comment?
Absolutely.
I was just saying.
Absolutely. But only men can attend, right? Because we want this to be a space where we can talk.
Okay.
But we want people to tune in and let us know what you're thinking. And we'll be talking about specifically about the Me Too movement and what we think about sexual assault, what we think about violence against women,
and
how that affects us in the way. So it's going to be very interesting. But as I've been preparing, we've been talking about this, we've been preparing for the show already. Katrina mentioned that someone was bae, right? Who is Killmonger. One of my little sisters, when we went to the movies to see the movie, she was like, "Oh my God, that's bae," and she was just kind of drooling over Michael B. Jordan. And I'm like, he's the only person in the film. Not even the white dudes was killing black women. It was him who shot old girl, right? He shot her. He even said he's killed his own brothers and sisters in Africa. And then on top of that, he was the only person to kill a general in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Right? So I just want to put that out there and let's see where the conversation takes.
I recognize all of that. But Killmonger is...
Not the butt. Not the butt. Okay, not the butt.
But Killmonger is bae in respects to the outcome of the movie. Like, he was the catalyst for the outcome. Had it not been for him, Wakanda wouldn't be concerned about black people outside of Wakanda. Right. As Black Panther said, I'm the king of Wakanda. I am for Wakanda. Right. Meanwhile, like I took Killmonger as representing Black rage for everything that black people have gone through around the world, and his goal was to help to carry that message. Because he grew up outside, so he was able to see what the struggle was. Unlike people in Wakanda, they have everything for them. It's there, they're set, they're good, they don't care because they're good. And so he's big because if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't have seen those things opening up in the hood or anything like that.
So by any means necessary, you feel, just to those out there, you feel like, as long as the whole point, as long as we benefit, then some people just gonna die.
The only reason why it turned into by only means necessary is because people of Wakanda didn't want to agree to help people outside. Had they been able to have that conversation, okay, we have this, we're good, we can work with you to help better outside of ourselves, then he wouldn't have had to take that route. But because
you really think he wasn't going to take that route? He wouldn't have yoked up old girl in the Garden of Life, killed old girl in the, what is it, the outside where the cars were when she was hung up. So think about it. So I see what you're saying, but at the very same time, he didn't care. So let's be real. Bay would have did it regardless. Bay would have did it regardless of, I guess, the atrocities and the trauma he faced. I think he was just that type of character. Yes, he deserves a prequel, but I think, can it be said that, sometimes we're going to play victim to, I guess, the greater cause?
And
sorry.
No. But by we you mean black women.
Yes.
Because he didn't kill any black men.
Except for old boy with the eye.
His
eye wasn't messed
up. Stop! You're rude. You're a rude person. You're a rude person.
Yeah,
I'm glad you are so rude.
That one.
You are so rude.
No, he did kill him, and he did kill T'Challa essentially, but he did not die. But his intent was to kill him.
So to him, violence against black women, sure. Also violence against black men.
He killed the white guy too. The general.
He just killing people.
Everybody.
So
the black woman was his girlfriend, right? She killed him.
I mean, that was something.
But he was doing it to get to. Yeah, I don't think it was like, hey, I'm trying to kill a black woman. He's getting it to get.
So Dr. TJ is asking, so is Killmonger just the angry black man? I want to get to that.
I don't think he's the angry black man. I think he's black rage in general.
That's what black rage could look like.
Male or female.
When you're tired of being silenced or not heard,
or being treated wrong, or being unjustly treated,
and knowing that there's a solution, but that solution doesn't want to cooperate.
I did not.
So allow me, if I can post something controversial, but I still want to talk about black men though, because I feel like we're getting distracted. Okay. And we can have a part 2. I love part 2s.
I think you have male and women there though.
Sure. Let's do it. Why not? Let's do it. We did do an episode of What Does It Mean to Be a Black Man. That was very. I mean, Woke Wednesdays episodes are usually pretty good. But no. So let's talk about black men. And real quick, we're speaking from a very heteronormative perspective. I do want to put that out there, right? And we can talk about dating, because that's usually kind of what it comes down to. So when it comes to dating, I'm not going to.
I'm gonna lean back.
I'm gonna lean back very quick. So dating, y'all are beautiful, brilliant, insightful, extremely well educated black women, very confident in your demeanor, who you are. What is it like dating? I'm not trying to get into pillow talk stuff either, but like, we can do that. But we can do everything. But what do y'all think about dating? Do you date interracially? Do you sometimes date black men because maybe you feel like there's a racial commitment to black excellence and black love, which I find problematic oftentimes. But so just kind of let's see where this conversation takes us. And please, y'all, feel free to post questions, comments.
I think dating in general is hard. Black, white, in between, poor, rich,
dreamers,
whatever, dreamers, all like that.
My dog said my chest.
Who hurt you? Her.
It's all right, baby. It's all right, child.
He knows I love him.
I appreciate you.
But
I cannot deal with
I think dating in general is hard. At least for me, I wouldn't be against interracial dating, but it has to be somebody that understands what it means me being black. Because at the end of the day, when we have a child, more than likely they're gonna either look mixed or they're gonna look mixed of some sort. Right. And so there's gonna be situations and instances that we're gonna have to deal with as a couple with our child, you know. And I think there's nothing wrong with interracial dating. I think my issue lies with interracial dating when you think that other is better, and that's on any side of the spectrum. I think there's nothing, because you can fall in love with anybody. You know, I don't think you can per se stop, but there's people that are purposely looking for something outside of themselves because they think that it's better, or they think that they have arrived, or they think it's a trophy, or it's an accomplishment. And to think that something that is not of your culture or race is better than your mother or your family and who you are. Because at the end of the day, especially as a black male, when you still have a child, your child's still black. Oh, yeah. Like, they may look mixed, but they're still black. So now is your child not worth being dated because your daughter's not worth dating because she's being black?
You think you gotta have it?
Yeah.
That conversation? Yeah.
Or your sister's not worth being dated because she's black? Like, I just think the mental thought process around other is better is, like, crazy to me, because you go home to your family reunion or dinner or see your family and you look them in the face and you don't think that they're worthy. That's how it comes off to me. And it may or may not be that way, but there are men that particularly are looking for people of other races because they feel like black women are angry, they're aggressive, they're this, they're that. And I think it's just, yes, we do. I think everybody has their flaws and their ups and downs or whatever. Yeah. But I think women are women. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that black women are better than other women or anything like that. I just feel like women across the board all have attitudes, or they all have certain things or crazy ways about themselves. Like, I don't think one race is more crazy than the other or worse than the other. I think it's just people. So
I'll start by saying I love black men. I was raised by a wonderful Nigerian black man. Hey. But I do love, more than black men, just good men in general. I'm not gonna just tie myself down.
Oh, my fault.
Party. I'm not gonna just tie myself down based on race. Ultimately, it's the person who's gonna make me feel better, so that we can feed off and feed each other. But I will say that I would rather date a woke white man over a sleek black man. Yes. So, like you said before, it's just understanding what it means to be black, and that blackness, and just being aware, racially aware. Because I could not date a Ben Carson. You know what I mean? Right, like I'd have to date somebody over there because
You're not an immigrant?
That term immigrant aggravates me. Considering it's a country of immigrants.
Yeah, everybody's
you're an immigrant.
Everybody came from somewhere.
Right, I understand.
But okay, interesting.
Well, I'm married, so.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was like, what are you?
I
your
think
class is opinion. She's living goals, y'all.
Right. I think when it comes to, growing up, right, being in different spaces, going to Florida State, being around that, I always say, listen, I'm an equal opportunity lover. And I always say that's an equal opportunity, right? But I think as I've grown older, I've grown to understand, I've gone through different experiences. I think it's important for me to date and continue, I guess, that legacy of I guess, a black family. I think it's important. Again, I would, like Katrina, I don't have time for people who are asleep. They can stay in their bed. I think, right? So the whole idea is, right? But my whole idea is making sure that, I think the question is, can we as black women, and the difficulties we face with these ideas and stereotypes and generalizations of us, especially professionally, especially in romantically, can we make sure that we have that conversation with black men so we can kind of meet each other where we're at? I've been having this conversation for a while where I'm just like, black men and black women are both hurt. And because of that, we are attacking each other. Not all, don't call me out. But we're attacking each other, can have these conversations, right? about what it is to be a black person in America, and also have that black love. I think it's beautiful to see that black love. I know you see it problematic, but to continue that legacy, to continue that family, right? That is, of course, healthy. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying sacrifice, have black love and sacrifice who you are, be in danger and all this stuff, and put up with foolishness. Not today, but I think it's important to have that. And I think it's beautiful. So that's what I feel. That's just what I'm saying.
Question: black love is problematic. I know a lot of other cultures as well. They're very strict on keeping within.
Oh yeah.
So I'm trying to understand, like, at what point do you consider the others to be problematic as well?
Yeah. So I can definitely answer your question, but I would love to hear you first. Okay. Because everyone already spoke.
There's a how's your dating process?
Oh,
girl, you married?
Yeah, she's married. She's married now.
And he's wonderful. He's an amazing person. He is Chris. Shout out to Chris. Chris probably watching right now. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Chris. He drinks Coronas. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Chris. Culturally inclusive. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Chris. Yeah. Go ahead.
Let's see. Well, my process was quite the process, or as my bridesmaid said, I kissed a few frogs before meeting my prince. And part of that was trying to, measure up to my mom's expectations of what she wanted from me, because a lot of my decision had to do with family. Of course, we want you to be with this type of person. Don't bring nobody to the door that don't have this, that, and the third all together. And so that was very important to me. I think it's very important to have somebody who is not going to feel emasculated in the presence of your success, somebody who's going to root for you, somebody who's going to lift you up for your wins, and vice versa, when they have their wins, but definitely not somebody who's going to, like, maybe discourage your moves or be selfish about
competition.
Exactly. But somebody who's very comfortable seeing their woman on top.
Question: Did you think about black love or black excellence when you started dating Chris?
I thought of, let's see, I'm not gonna lie, before Chris and I got really serious, I was so frustrated with black men. I'm not even going to lie. Just the half-assedness, I'm just gonna put it like that. Or the ability to start something and not follow through on it. If you're gonna open up my heart, then be willing to love me. Don't open doors that you can't. If you don't, if you're not confident in who you are as a man yet to move to the next level, then don't even put that. Don't do that.
I will say, I think a lot of black men, or just men in general, want to have things together before they get to that serious level. And I think,
I feel like in other cultures, I've seen people build together. But our men are so much like, oh no, I'm not ready. So I'm not.
I would be careful too with what we've seen and what is actually real, right? Because sometimes Instagram, social media, Facebook, we see a lot of things, but is that real? Right? Like people post a lot of things.
Is it real?
Is it healthy? Is it real? Is it healthy? Is he hitting you? But we're still posting pictures. Like social media sometimes is we're performers in life.
Yes.
Our gender, our racial expressions. We are performers. I'm gonna say a lot of things.
I tried.
Don't hype me up.
I will stand beside it.
I'll say a lot of things. But we are performers, and Instagram and social media pictures is a type of performance. We don't put pictures up unless we look good in them. Come on, let's be real, right? Like, I put a video of me dancing. I was killing that shit. I wasn't going to put it up if I wasn't killing that shit. What? Let's be real. That's some real shit. Right? But I think, and then Chris put the hands up.
I can't.
Adore.
So real quick, I think you make a fascinating point about do we find other loves problematic? I didn't think about that. What I thought about is that this. I also find some controversial person. I also find this kings and queens language problematic. Oftentimes.
Really? Tell me more about that.
Absolutely. Which part?
I've heard a lot.
Which part?
I've heard so much.
This is a whole other episode. This is a whole other episode though, because I think this should be deconstructed. I think a lot of scholars have a lot of great work on this. So. This is really important, but which one?
Yeah, right.
Which one?
A trailer?
Feudalism.
And this is something that my line brother put me on as far as the kings and queens.
I think about the classism part. I was thinking this self-celebrating that we're not slaves and peasants.
No, yeah, I've heard this comment.
Mario and I talk about this all the time. My line brother, Martel, brilliant individual.
The kings and queens thing.
Yes.
He's actually the one who put me onto this.
Yes, he's big.
And made me think about this a lot more. Shout out to Mario.
Hey, Mario.
He's late, but it's okay. But the thing is, I don't want to take up time because we only have 8 minutes left.
All right, thanks.
This is I was gonna just give me because I want to hear y'all. But I guess so in Africa, before white people ever got there, and they weren't considered white at the time. They were Europeans. At that time, Africa as a continent didn't even exist. Right? People didn't consider themselves African, West African. That wasn't a thing. Right? You identified by your tribe.
Yeah.
There were kings and queens, absolutely. There were also slaves in Africa before Europeans ever arrived.
Yes, of course.
So why do we have, and by we, do we have to find ourselves in a king and queen language to find ourselves as powerful, as beautiful, as amazing? Real quick. But go.
I think because of the years of negative images and negative reinforcement about yourself, it's like you're in a depletion. So I don't want to say it's an act of overcompensating to kind of even just bring yourself to a sensible level or whatever you want to call it. But I think it is necessary just to kind of like feed your soul, feed your spirit, that image of yourself as a king and queen when you've always been viewed as something like beneath.
Can I contest that real quick?
Go ahead.
But I'm not trying to go into this episode because I think I want to hear y'all's voices. So let the spirit. So the spirit. Hey, shut up, Hada. Hey.
What are y'all doing right now?
I'm in church on TV.
I thought, what are you doing?
I was about to shout.
You want to sit down?
After you shout,
I cannot. I was like, what is happening, Jesus?
I don't think the kings and queens thing has to be per se used as technical. I just think it's of making sure that babies and people of color treat themselves better and expect better of themselves. I think that's more. I mean, I think there's other words we can use to accomplish that, but that's how I see it.
Yeah, we constantly see images through the media of our bodies being disrespected,
robbers, killers, thugs. Like, you don't see yourself in a positive and wealthy and prosperous light.
But I think okay. This is a whole other episode. I want to talk about this because this is extremely I think important when it comes to political movements in the United States, because sometimes what is considered a weakness is probably the most powerful thing you could ever have. And I especially when we talk about especially this narrative, a lot of it, especially this narrative about the reality that this country was built on the backs of slaves, right?
Yes.
We will hype that up. And then we'll all say we're kings and queens. Yes, this country could not exist without, blackness, period. Right? And I think that is something to talk about, and I think that is something that we can use. I think a lot about politics and the way we can attain freedom, liberation, gender-wise, gender binaries, I think are problematic. Right? We can attain a lot of these liberties. And I think sometimes we have to flip the narrative. And sometimes we buy into narratives that can be maybe detrimental, maybe not to us on a personal level, but to other people who might look like us, which are oftentimes dismissed. But that's a whole nother episode. It's a whole nother thing that we can get into, and I want to hear from y'all tonight. But so we only have 4 minutes left. I know. Can y'all believe it?
I can't believe it.
It's already 11. So we're gonna go till 12 tonight. I'm kidding. People gotta go home. People gotta work. People gotta do a lot of things. We talked about a lot tonight. We talked about a lot. We need a part 2. Clearly, we need to talk about this. If y'all are open to it, y'all are more than welcome to come back. Alexis, and we should invite some guys over. That would be really interesting. That would be really, really. I think that'd be great.
Sometimes we always talk in separate spaces, and I don't feel like people should bash each other, talk past each other. Because again, I don't know who said it, but there's I think, hurt on both sides.
Mm-hmm. And it could be actually healing to look at each other and say certain things that...
He said, it was me. I'll take credit for that. I'll take credit for that. It's okay. It's okay. Do you? I didn't do anything. I'm going to the moon anyway. Listen. Listen.
Do what you want, bro. Do what you want.
Mario told me I can go to East Wakanda.
I can't.
I'm not going to be.
Alright, so we have 3 minutes left. 3 minutes left. So we had brilliant, insightful, just beautiful people, inside and out, just phenomenal, just human beings. Because I know them on a personal level as well, and I think y'all are just absolutely amazing. So thank you so much for coming on the show. And if we could have some last words, last couple words, maybe like 30 seconds. And if you could tell people, we've talked about a lot tonight, and it is impossible to cover what does it mean to be a black woman in 2 hours.
Of course.
But we've talked about a lot tonight, and I think at times it's been challenging. Just hearing some things, I'm like, shit, yes, no, I gotta think about this. So like,
Sleep on it.
I gotta sleep on it. I gotta think about it. So, what is something that you would want to tell people, right, about maybe being a black woman? That you would think maybe is important for people to kind of think about, maybe no.
I would think something I would say to be either being a black woman or even young black me is to love yourself, to value yourself, to take care of your temple, to know that you're beautiful, and even if you're not in the traditional, I think beauty is very relative. And I don't think it's about a fat or skinny thing. I think it's about health and being healthy and taking care of yourself, because this is the temple that God has given you. And I think just being able to embrace who you are, the good, bad, and in between, and enjoy the process, I think it's the biggest thing. And to not let negative things that happen to you make you bitter and hard, because you miss out on your blessings when you're so... And it's hard to not be hard. When things have happened to you and you've been screwed over and you've been mistreated, like naturally you're going to bundle up and be like, you know, back the hell up. But I would say that don't let that happen to you, because your spirit and your heart is it deserves love from other people, and it deserves for you to give out and continue to share that love. So,
and I would say that being a black woman is definitely a beautiful challenge. And if I were to be reborn again, I wouldn't change it. I appreciated everything that the experience has built me to be, and I just hope to continue to grow from it and not become hardened by the experience. Beautiful challenge, I would call it.
When I think of black womanhood, I think of our ancestors, right? And just connecting to them, the blood, sweat, and tears they lost for us, right? And what we're here for. I think of course, loving ourselves. I'll echo that as well. Also making sure that sisterhood is so important. Sisterhood, of course, doesn't have to be bound to a sorority, as we all know, right? Yeah. It's more and deeper than that, but also loving all type of women. I think we didn't cover that, because we all have. I think there's an idea of, oh, she's that ideal woman. Loving all type of women, regardless if you feel her morals don't go with you. Uplifting women, fixing whatever, and helping her out. But also looking also for the young girls, and I brought that up because they're next, and are we truly grooming them to be the best? And are we telling them they can be the best? And are giving them opportunities and mentoring them to be the best? And I think that's really important. But also we got to make sure that we're good too before we go out here messing up people's children. I'm just saying. Go ahead.
I would say what's most important about being a black woman is realizing that you can be strong and you can ask for help too. It's a part of your self-care. It's a part of maintaining your level of endurance in everything that you're made of. So I would say that, anytime you feel like things are becoming too hard, turn to your tribe. Love them hard. Surround yourself by women who uplift your spirit. Be very mindful of the vibes and the discernment that you feel when you're in the company of other people, and just move accordingly. And just be encouraged and know that you're not a matter of your circumstances. So just because things have happened in the past year, you don't have to be defined by them. You can always create your own narrative, your own story, and prevail forward like God wants you to.
Amen.
And also as a black woman. No, I'm kidding. No. So everything y'all are saying is extremely powerful. And to build off a little bit about what you said, one of my really good friends, I've known her since I was a kid. She's a black woman. She's Nigerian. and she sells. She just started this like movement called it's not selfish. It's called self-care. And she's like selling shirts, which is really dope. I have one, so y'all have to check her out. I'll plug she's Igbo. I'm pretty sure she's Igbo. Yeah. And yeah, but it's dope, and it kind of gets back to what you're saying. Like we have to self-care is extremely important. But yeah, I just want to say thank y'all so much for coming through.
Thank you for having us. Thank you
for being woke.
Oh, right.
What a Wednesday.
So let's keep this going. What else?
I cannot.
What else can we say?
Thank you for singing. Thank you for
singing. I didn't even know I could do that. Go ahead, continue, please.
Thank you for
I'm
kidding.
kidding. No, but I think these conversations need to continue. We need to keep on talking about this. It's extremely important, especially for the babies. Especially for our babies coming up. I don't know if Lucy's still on here, but she was the one I was telling you about. Amazing teacher. Maybe you can join it. Like maybe all that can be.
Yes,
like,
I'm definitely I'll definitely be checking people out for my my Young Women Summit. I think it's extremely important. So I will be hitting everybody up. People who are watching, you can hit me up on Instagram, and I definitely will.
Because you invited young brown and black men from the community to come talk to the boys.
Yes, and have these conversations. Yes, and I think a lot of them, I had a couple of boys who were saying, "Yo, man, I'm looking at life a little bit different because of the people I met." So
I'm still texting.
I'm
still texting and we're talking. We're gonna grab food.
And there's a lot of people that have been doing different things like that.
Absolutely.
I think every little bit, there's no overdoing of helping people, young people. So that's really awesome.
And please, y'all come to Social Exchange. De La Soul has been a place where I've met so many amazing,
so fun, definitely support,
phenomenal. Like your hashtag, which I love. We found what is it? We found the black people.
We found the black people.
We found the black people.
Yeah, Urban Miami. Of course, awareness of mental health. Please continue what you're doing. It's absolutely beautiful. Having that conversation, breaking barriers in regards to that.
Absolutely. Katrina's doing beautiful work. Doc student, as an administrator here on campus. I think great role model for young women. Young men too, because y'all can be role models for young men too.
Yes, very true.
We don't talk about that. Your work with racial trauma, which we still talk about. I mean, just y'all are so amazing. So thank you so much for coming by. Y'all's social media handles, I don't know if y'all want to put that out there, but I tagged y'all anyways. So
that's what I was talking about.
You can't be, you can't. My mom is watching. Hey, mommy, I'll be home.
Hey, Chris.